'Tis the season for Bitcoin to make macro moves. That's right, guys. No surprise that Q4 has historically been a good time, or at least a time where major moves happen. But we're actually homing in on a specific date that has historically marked moves in the Bitcoin chart with macro implications. And today we're going to look at exactly what's developing, exactly what that date is, and, a couple scenarios that could play out as we watch the candles develop here. First, as per usual, if you like the streams, do me a favor, smash the buttons, right? Help me grow this channel. Hit the like. Live comments are open, by the way, if you want to join in. Love to have you. Enjoy engaging with you guys. So if you've got questions you want to ask, if you've got insights you want to share, would love to hear from you. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button up above. That's on that side, actually. Hit that little bell. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and not miss any of these streams as they move on. And real quick, if you're interested in any of the tools, I'll have descriptions and links down below, any of the tools that I'm using. But Material Indicators having a big holiday sale, the huge holiday sale, if you will, 33% off every single plan, including monthlies, all the way up to lifetime plans. So let's climb into the charts and take a look at what is happening. New all-time high, of course, after the weekly close, and how things are developing from there, and where price could go in either direction, because we always like to show you, best case and worst case scenarios, depending on what your strategy is. So let's start by sharing the candle chart, because big moves last night, right? Or depending on your time zone or where you live. But for me here in the US, after or somewhere around that weekly close last night, we saw things happening. And actually, I had hinted earlier in the weekend, it's been kind of a crazy few days for me here with some family issues I've been taking care of. But notice that things were starting to percolate in the charts, and I'll show you that, what I had seen in fire charts, and lead us up to where we see ourselves now and where we might see ourselves in a few days here. So I guess the first order of business is to adjust this all-time high here, right? We were previously at what, 103 and change, and 103,647, at least on this chart. And so now let's go ahead and adjust that. Boom. Where are we at now? Our new all-time high is at like 106,533, an overshoot of that 105 that we saw that liquidity at. So 106,533. Love it. Absolutely love it. Fixed it for you. New all-time high, 106,533. That's the benchmark and the new number to beat, right? But what's interesting, actually, before I even show you that, what's interesting is, I may have jumped the gun there, right? What is interesting to me is where support is at the moment. Okay, this is where we were. All-time high was at 103,647. Let me show you something. This is pretty cool. We blew through this last night. I've moved into a 4-hour chart, right? We had our close Sunday. We broke out and reached a new all-time high up here, and then things, of course, pulled back, because that's what happens when you make a new all-time high. It's not just a straight line up to 120,000. It is a pump and then a consolidation. But what's interesting here is we have now tested the prior all-time high, testing an RS flip here, if you will. This is now our second candle. We did wick through here on this current candle that has 2 hours and 13 minutes to go. So this is certainly a developing situation. But watching this level right here, this would be a monumental sign of strength if Bitcoin can indeed hold this RS flip here at the prior all-time high. Now let's go ahead and fix this. 106,533. And there's your new all-time high. Okay, so in terms of where things go from here, obviously we have our eyes on different targets, but this is an important situation here, right? And how did we get to this? Well, we have seen, just like we had back in that 54K range where we had this double bottom here. This one happened much sooner, really between two candles, but we did have a little double bottom here after that dump down to 94K, and price obviously climbed its way back above the 21-day moving average, and here we are with a new all-time high. And we just talked about where we want that RS flip to hold here at the prior all-time high, right here, right? And so if we look in terms of where price could potentially go from here, obviously, eyes are on a much larger move to the upside, and eyes are to the downside as well in terms of, hey, what happens if this is the top? What happens if, hey, maybe this isn't this isn't necessarily the cycle top, but what about that correction we've been talking about? We've been talking about a 20 to 50% or so correction here, which historically has happened in all bull markets. And if we go through the history of the halvings, you can see even in solid bull runs, there have been significant pullbacks um, in that 20 to 50, 60% range, right? And so even when we got to the 2021 top, this was a 56% move to the downside right here. Okay, so it can happen, and don't think just because it hasn't, don't think that this time is different and then it might and then it won't. It's very likely that this happens at some point in time. The question is not a matter of if, but when and where that comes from. So what would a correction like that look like from here? Well, let's just go ahead and measure it out. Um, a move to that prior consolidation, that's 18%. That's barely, it might qualify as that 20% move. It's close enough to the pin. I think that a lot of people, myself included, a lot of technicians would like to see more than that. If we took it down to the well, let's start on the daily time frame in terms of where we could potentially see support levels, right? So to the 21 day, not enough of a move to call that a real correction. Back down to that little double bottom area we had at 94, 12%, not enough in my opinion to call that a real correction. If we get into this area of brief consolidation that we had, that maybe approaches it. We of course have the 50-day, the red 50-day moving average in there, 16%, not really enough to really be a huge move that would shake a lot of people out. But there's certainly some confluence here that would be interesting. That's 19%, close enough to the pin, I guess, to call that a 20% move. That might satisfy some technicians. Down to the 100-day moving average. Okay, 76%. That had a little consolidation area right here. That's conceivable. And of course, the 200-day moving average, that's a real important one. And look where it sits right now. It is currently just above the 2021 top at 69K. Nobody really wants to see that flush all the way down there. And obviously breaking down further would be significant and really shake out a lot of people. And look where the trend line is right now. That's a 50% move. It has confluence with that big double bottom that sent us up here from 54K. And that to me is really a spot that could be really, number one, would shake out a ton of people. Number two, is there a place on the chart with stronger foundational support than that macro trend line? Look, we consolidated here in September through October of 2023, where this move really started to ignite. And so that's the strongest position of foundational support, in my opinion. And that would be just a monumental opportunity for people to buy back in at really at this stage. That's generational wealth again, right? So if you're reluctant to buy up here, I mean, listen, if you have a vision that Bitcoin is going to go to a mid six figure or higher, into the million and multi-million dollar range, then it's not too early, right? Michael Saylor certainly doesn't think it's too early. He just bought again over the weekend. It probably is the guy that helped this move here. So keep that in mind. We of course also have a how should I say, crypto-friendly administration about to take office here in the U.S. And going to be interesting to see how those things play out. So, in terms of the fundamentals, a lot of positives going for Bitcoin right now. Oh, it looks like we got a couple comments here. Let's see who's joining us so far. When YouTube Live, hey, right now, I guess you're there. Maybe you came in before I started this thing, but glad to have you with me. Hey, Aknak, glad to have you back. Loving the stream as always. Could you check on Philcoin chart when you get a chance? Would love to hear your insights in its current trend and potential moves. Thanks so much. All right, let me get through this, and then maybe if we have time, we'll go back and look at those. If not, I'll cover them another day. And Alex, good to have you here. What stablecoin do you think is more secure? Well, good question. For a long time, I didn't like what was happening with USDT and just got away from it. And I went to USD. I've been trading on Coinbase, which, as a US trader, that's my secure spot, at least the one I think is the most secure. And I was trading USD. But then they offered some nice yield on USDC. So I switched over to USDC. And that's pretty much where I'm sitting right now. I think that this new administration may take some of the heat off of USD. I honestly don't know, right? How the administration is going to treat these stables. It seems like we have more than we need. I would say that. Let's just say there's been more drama around USDT than there has any of the others, for whatever that's worth. So I'm currently not trading USDT, although I did for many, many years. Let's go back to the charts here. Now, I teed this thing off talking about macro moves on a specific date. So let's look exactly at what I'm referring to. This is something I discovered, early on in my crypto trading, that we had some interesting things happening. And I'm not sure how I even thought of this, but certainly at the time, being new to trading, I was hearing a lot of, it's programmed, right? And so December 17th had proven to be a pretty interesting date, right? So we hit I initially started trading in October of this year, somewhere around that at $6,000. I made my first crypto purchase, my first Bitcoin purchase. I think it was $100 when price was $6,001. And had that run, got excited like everybody else, got my ass handed to me on the way down. Then the following year, things bottomed. We got a reversal, and things went 344% to the upside. The following December 17th, another, coming off of a downtrend, another reversal, breaking through this consolidation range, and another huge move, 943%. We had a little black swan in there. COVID crash came in. That was not any significance to the December, but this kind of interrupted this trend here. But things did proceed upward, right? December 17th, 2020, another macro trend breakout here. We were already in this uptrend, but we did have a breakout from this consolidation range, and boom, went to the mid-cycle top here. Nice correction of about 56% back to an all-time high. December 17th, 2021. This is where things broke down. It's not always an up thing, right? It could be a down thing. That's why these are macro moves, often either breakouts, reversals, or breakdowns, right? So December 17th, 2021, first close below the 200-day moving average. And that was the validation, the confirmation that the bear market had begun. We then took it to, now this one didn't happen exactly on December 17th. December 16th last year, we did see a flush below the 21-day moving average. And this is where we found our footing and started to establish support and climbed back out, right? So this was the flush below, shook some people out, and then boom. This one might be a little bit of a stretch, but hey, help me out, right? I got this pattern for years and years. Trapped. Yes, this is Material Indicators official team. I'm one of the co-founders of Material Indicators. I appreciate you following along. Where are we now? December 17th, 2023. What happened? Well, we tested that 21 day moving average and reclaimed the 0.5 fib And that puts us pretty much to where we are now, right? So December 16th, that's today. Yesterday is the 15th, 16th. Today, tomorrow's the 17th, which would be, the target date we're looking for. And guess what happens on December 18th? FOMC meeting on December 18th. And at the moment, let's see, we were in like the high, like 96, 98 percentile, that there would be a 25 basis point cut on the 18th. And now that's simmered down to a cool 97%. So safe to say that move is baked into the market, and that is certainly may have some influence over what we're seeing at the moment. So any of these things could be catalysts at the moment. Maybe this is already the move, but maybe it's not, right? So what am I watching for over these next couple of days? I'm watching to see, obviously, how the candles develop, how support holds. Are we going to see things hold here on this potential, on this RS flip from the prior all-time high? And we're retesting that now. It was what, 103.6 and change, like 103.650. So will that RS flip hold? And if it does, that's going to be just monumental strength. In fact, I'm going to draw a line for that RS flip just so we have a reference. Let's do this. Let's go with this guy right here. And this was at this level, 103.647. I'll dial that in here. 103.647. This is the RS flip that bulls are hoping or working towards keeping, right? So let's see if that happens. Now, in terms of upside targets from here, we talked about potential downside moves. How about potential upside moves? Okay, so maybe we consolidate here for a hot minute. Maybe we get a breakout or a breakdown sometime between now and the FOMC meeting. Will the move be the breakout that we're seeing here? Will the move be a breakdown below, to lose this RS flip to break down? Will the move be a breakout above the current, this new all-time high? Either of those scenarios. We talked about the downsides. Let's talk about the upside. To the upside, we're still playing out this measured move from the cup and handle that we saw. This took years to develop. This is the biggest cup and handle I've ever seen. We measure these with a move from the rim of the cup to the bottom of the cup. This is log scale, by the way. So on log scale, we just do it as a percentile move rather than just the straight stick, right? So 77.5% to the downside, 77.5% to the upside. That brings us to roughly the 122.5K range. All right, which is certainly in focus here. If we take a look at fire charts, we can see we have some ask liquidity here at 110, but it's really thin above that, right? If bulls can push above this 110, I mean, it's going to be a rip to 120. And I would expect an overshoot, just like we got this overshoot over at 105. And then maybe a pullback. So does the correction come from here? Does the correction come from here? Does the correction come from here? Or does it come from potentially higher? It is, nobody can forecast that with any degree of accuracy. Trapped, what view on the Sol BTC weakening now like ETH BTC happened before? Okay, as you can see, I'm on a Bitcoin analysis right now. If I have time, I will do my best to get to it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, tough day here today. I gotta take my wife here for surgery in a few hours. So let's get back on track here. Okay. So in terms of what I was seeing over the weekend, when I posted that tweet that said the calm before the storm, was this consolidation that was happening in here. Right. And we were seeing some buying return, right? The buying had resumed. While we saw this selling going on earlier in the week, from whales, whales were actually buying. They were TWAPing in this yellow and green class earlier on, because they were, simply disguising their orders. And we saw it happening, right? And because of the volume that was happening here, it was hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way, in a short amount of time. So we knew it wasn't just retail in that space. Since then, of course, whales have returned, and we got this, buying up into this liquidity here. When there was more liquidity, those whale size orders, they could complete those whale size orders without the slippage. And so that is precisely what we saw here. Then a breakout late last night, and now we've got a new all-time high. So again, I'm really watching the calendar and I'm watching the candles, and I'm not going to get hung up on whether or not it happens tomorrow on the 17th. Maybe it already happened. Maybe maybe the move we saw yesterday was the big significant move. Like I said, maybe we'll see things break down around that RS flip at 103.6K, or maybe we'll see the breakout towards this measured move here, this target at 122.5. Now, let's say we hit this target. Is that it? Is that the cycle top? I'm not saying this is the cycle top. It certainly could be. I'm saying that's the measured move here. So we could certainly see things go higher. At that point, I consider this lifetime trend here to be the glass ceiling on price discovery. If Bitcoin can make it back into this channel here, and we've been out for quite some time. We've been out of it since June of 2022 for the first time. If we can make it back into there, and we've been rejected once, if we can make it back into that channel, then price discovery takes on a whole new meaning, right? I would then look to the center channel. That's got you up at $500,000 Bitcoin, and then obviously the top of the channel, and this moves over time. You're in multi-million-dollar territory. Now, this could take, this could take 20 years. To get up to these Michael Saylor levels. Michael Saylor's got like a $13 million target, which is, I don't know how anybody can say with any confidence that that's legit, but it's going to take a long time to get there, if it even happens, if it's even reality. So maybe if we see more sovereign nations trying to adopt a Bitcoin reserve, we might see something like that, but that just seems highly, highly speculative. In the meantime, I'm going to go off of what I see in the charts and where the technicals exist. This is the only thing. Since we are in price discovery, technically, there is no real structural resistance, with the exception of the only thing we have is this lifetime channel. So if we look at a fib retrace, that might give us some potential targets as well. And so we've already hit the 1.618. Where could we go from here? Right? We just flipped that 1.618, right? Which also maybe that's the RS flip. That's hairs between that and the prior all-time high at 106 or 103.6. But the next natural target on a fib scale would be the 2.618, and that gets us up in the 150K range. That could certainly be a cycle top. And then, of course, you go, as each one of those gets flipped, if they get flipped, you look to the next level of 618. The 3.618 would get us up to $200,000 Bitcoin. The 4.618 would get us potentially up to $263,000 Bitcoin. And look, depending on when that happens, that could happen and still not be inside the channel, right? We could get rejected from this channel and never make it back in ever, and still over time see Bitcoin reach $1 million. Okay, so anything is possible. All we can do is trade on the data that's in front of us. And what we see right now, what I'm looking at now, is this measured move to get us up to this 77% move to the upside, and then potentially maybe a correction, and then possibly work back up, or maybe that becomes a cycle top. Time will tell. Guys, I'm afraid I don't have time to do the analysis on the other coins. If I can get back in front of the computer today, I'll do that. If not, I will try and get to them tomorrow for you. All right. I appreciate you guys following along. I appreciate the engagement. And hey, man, it's an exciting time. So be prepared. You've got the tools. And if you don't have the tools, you can get them for 33% off right now at Material Indicators. Links are in the description. By all means, promo code MIHO, MyHo 33 for 33% every plan. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.